Get ready and strap in for the One Love HTX show, where all our conversations are always raw, unfiltered, and never staged. We can also be found on Instagram, all major streaming platforms, and westcliff.org. Check us out at onelovehtx.org for more info or ways to support the show. Now get ready to dive into conversations you won't always have in church with your hosts, Joshua Duffy and Daniel Salsi.
Kick it!
Wow.
Had to do it. I finally got what you heard on the last one. Okay. It was that resonating guitar. Kick it!
Wow. That was good.
All right.
Outstanding, good sir.
Thank you very much. I'm here all week. Try the veal, tip your waitress.
Try the veal. So, where are we where they're trying the veal?
When is the last? I don't think I've ever even had veal.
I want to just say I've never been in a single establishment in my life that announced try the veal.
That's usually it's the old. Where did I get that from? It was from like those old.
It's the combination with the guitar though. Like, have you ever been like House of Blues and they're like, "Hey, just so you know, try the veal. We're so glad you guys are here.
Tip your waitress."
No,
here all week.
This is your band that you haven't started yet. Simply called Try the Veal.
Try the veal. Oh, that would be punk rock. That would be ultimately punk rock. Try the veal, kick it! How do we even get started after that?
We should have entitled this, God Cares How You Veal.
No. Why? Oh, I think that's a good working title. I might go with that one. Oh, my goodness. Okay. Oh, blurry eyes. Can't see. All right. Welcome back to another, just in our brain, at One Love HTX, Westcliff, Climb, and... Oh, my gosh.
Come to a church like Pilgrim with ADD. You'll love it.
Can you imagine if Sunday was like this? I think you might be overflowing in there. You just got to come see this guy.
He said, try the veal. Randomly.
Oh, my gosh. All right. Let's get on. And so, the last episode, we were talking about this is hard to catch back up. My ears are tingling. I was laughing so hard. Oh my goodness. Okay, we were talking about how God loves us. Like, how do we know that? And then we also kind of got on this whole tangent of, or I did, anyways, of just social media today, and the tidbits of information and. Hate saying it, but culturally getting more stupid because we're not physically going to. We don't have encyclopedias anymore, and everything is already put in place, and that's the scary part. Like, how do we know the information? And I'm not trying to be conspiracy theorist, but how do we know the information that we're Googling? It wasn't just put there. Like, this is what they want us to know.
Oh, it's got a bias for sure.
Yeah. So that's the challenge, and true research, physically going in and touching and feeling and talking to, people, etc. It's gone. We've gotten to this culture of, I need to figure out what it is, where do I find such and such, yada, yada, and what does this mean? And I get that all the time from my son-in-law and my kids. They're like, look, Dad, look what it says here. And I'm like, how do you know that's even real? And they're like, because it said it
on the magic box.
Right. So, all that being said, one of the other conversations that I had, there was this the movie that just came out, which is really great. It's based on Homer's book, The Odyssey. Have you seen it?
I have not. I've heard.
Yeah.
There's like two ends of the spectrum I keep hearing. Like,
Ooh,
it's
ooh.
epic, or I hear, or it's terrible, or whatever. Like, I hear both.
Okay.
What is it?
Good.
Did you see it?
Good. Well, the epic was my children. All my children and my son-in-law and everything. Like, it is epic. They even went to go see it again.
Okay.
It's epic.
Okay.
They were frustrated with me because they were like, what'd you think? And I'm like, meh.
Wow. You gave the old meh.
Yeah, I was like, meh. Well, first and foremost, and this is, I mean, sorry if you're listening. What's his name? Not Ben Affleck. Who's the other guy? Ben Affleck's buddy who plays Odysseus. Oh my gosh, what is his name?
He's a guy that solves a lot of math problems. Does he solve math problems in this movie too?
No math problems. And
okay. Formulas.
I can't even think of his name. Anyways.
That guy.
Yeah. Bourne Supremacy.
Yeah.
I wanted
Jason Bourne.
No. What is his acting name? I mean, his true name. Anyways, that was one of the big issues I had with this. Was like, he's not even believable to me because I know too much about him in past movies and stuff. I'm like, you should have picked someone like Jason Momoa or whatever. Like, that would have been cool as Odysseus,
Yeah.
But this, I don't know. So that was one of my problems. But also, I told my daughters, one of the challenges that I have with this is, as I hear people talking about this in the circle that I kind of run in, and I run in just believers and non-believers.
Yeah.
And just always having conversations. And one of the things that I heard was how spiritually healing it all was. Yeah, okay, yeah. So that's a problem to me. And I have this, I don't know if empathy is the word for it, but it bugs me when, people start to hear this stuff and take that as a part of what they believe about God.
Yeah.
And then I heard this other one that said, well, when you really look at everything, Greek mythology and this and that, they all have essence of God in them. And so are they wrong? And that just tweaked me the other day. And I was like, oh, this is the challenge right now that we're dealing with in all this, because of these bits of information and no one really seeking what they see in clips is what they begin to believe. And I think it's a trap. I think it's a great little snare that's just going to catch people. And just because there is essence of God in mythology doesn't mean that it's right.
Yeah.
And I really want to talk into this today, and not in a religious and weird way, and, you're wrong, but it's that culture, and this is what I talked to a friend about, because I was like, that's great. I do love mythology.
Yeah.
I love reading about it, and I love the Cyclops stuff and all that. It's really interesting and fun to me. It's entertainment to me.
Yeah.
It's not real. But when you look at the culture of it, that culture, because oh gosh, I'm having a hard time. Okay, here we go.
You're doing great.
This is the one comment that got me. I think it hurts my heart for people. Was if those people were brought up in that, are they wrong? The child that was brought up in it, they're just doing what they've been told. And when you think about the Greeks, and here we are, you got to take the 30,000 foot view. We're just thinking, this friend that said that, just thinking, oh, I mean, but are they wrong? I mean, there's parts of God in there, and hopefully God will sort that out. And, poor kid, and they're just being brought up in. No, in that culture, correct me if I'm wrong, there were plenty of Christians that were wandering around and sharing the good news and sharing God's truth, going, no, what you believe, you have created something to fit your needs, to fit the culture that you want to live in, to fit the what's the word? Just the desires of our own broken heart.
Yeah.
Because this doesn't work for you. That doesn't make it right. Just because it has essence of God doesn't make it okay and right. So that's my, well, there's my.
Well, like that's where one thing that's really interesting that a lot of people don't always dive into is you actually read just like church history, how far each of the disciples made it on the globe before they were killed. And some of it is like, I mean, just brutal the way that, it's passed down to how they died. But, they're as far as India, to the east, parts of Asia, Britain.
Oh, wow.
I mean, like, it's not like, oh, it's just condensed to this little section, little part of the planet. I mean,
if we think of a chosen, which has been
like,
great, but it's just like, it wasn't just that little piece of the earth.
Once Jesus was like, all right, go get it. Here's the Holy Spirit. They went out in every direction.
Yeah.
I mean, literally. And you can check out in church history, like how far they made it is wild. Mm-hmm. To parts of the world that right now, at least, while there may be Christian pockets, are not overtly Christian, but like it's wild how far they got.
Yeah.
In the Greco-Roman world, you're right. Like Paul in Acts, he's having a conversation where he's pointing people. They have this unknown God, and they don't know how to resolve, this question within their culture or society. And, Paul is like, I see, like, you're trying to figure this out. Let me answer it for you. This is his name, this is who he is. And that's kind of like, to this topic, like what's interesting is like the early church, specifically Paul, you read the book of Acts, like his ability to reason. Now, does everyone love it? No, they beat him half to death. He's shipwrecked and everything else. He's wrongfully tried and convicted a couple times. Like he goes through it, but he is so profoundly gifted at reasoning. In the book of Acts, talks about his ability to reason. So this is this missionary type heart of going into a culture and a society that is radically different. I think the value of knowing that kind of stuff, knowing mythology, let's say as an example, is if you take Paul's time, the ability then to navigate that world and that worldview. Like that's how they're thinking. Now you know who you're dealing with. You think about it. For Paul, he says he's a Jew of Jews. And he's a Roman citizen. Like, to get the assignment to be like, yeah, now you're going to go reach this whole other group of people. It's not how any human would have written that in the sand, Right. It would have made sense, given that he could literally, trace his line and lineage back to the tribe of Benjamin, of the 12 tribes. Mm. It would have made sense, like, oh, of course, you're custom made for, the Hebrew Jewish people. Like, it's bizarre that he gets an assignment that is on the whole other end of the spectrum for that time. So I don't know, man. I think one of the hard things that we always struggle with as human beings is, to put it bluntly, like we want to be the judge. We just want to be the judge, and that's hard for us to try to make sense out of what's fair and what's not fair, and what happens with what's going on in parts of the world where they seem to believe X, Y, or Z. And that's where I think this is where it's super hard for us, because we love to be able to kind of tie things into a neat bow. And the reality is, not even the cross is neat. Like it's bloodstained. It's horrific. There's nothing neat and clean about it. It's not like from IKEA as a piece of art or something. It's a horrible thing that has to happen, that takes place. And it's messy on every level, and it involves all of these players, from society and culture that becomes engaged and invested in his death, to soldiers, to higher-ups within the government. The Sanhedrin is involved. It brings all of these groups together to kill him. And I think what God then is, it gives his people, through the Holy Spirit, is this incredible missionary calling to go make disciples to the very ends of the earth. And so, like,
I think what we need to be thinking about is, especially if people have a burning, I think I've said this before, like, go get it.
Right. Yeah. We've said that before.
Yeah, like, go make him known to your sphere of influence, or head out on a mission trip. Like, this is Jesus's point. Like there's so much opportunity, but the workers are few. Mm-hmm. And I think that's ultimately still the case today.
Yeah.
I just think that's one of the hard things. And the wild thing too about a lot of the mythology stuff too is like the relationships to the gods are so transactional, and you can see why people, especially 2,000 years ago, I mean, we struggle with it today, and we've had 2,000 years to think about Jesus. Mm-hmm. We still struggle with it as Christians. How much more it had to have just been bizarre at the premise that, you mean this God invades heaven and earth, comes down, and he willingly dies for me. He wants my heart, but there's no monetary exchange. He's declaring who I am to give to him, but there's no manipulating him, mm-hmm. like you see in much of mythology. There's a profound sense of compassion and kindness towards me, yet at the same time he is like a warrior. Mm-hmm. He has the ability to lay his enemies low, mm-hmm. and lift up kingdoms, and also just wipe them out at the same time. So it's just like, it's this beautiful, that's where all of the mythology and the way that people's worldview back then would have been is kind of, bottom line, if you were to put it all in a bucket, is very much a transactional reality. Do I think that there's stories in there that highlight godly, virtues or life lessons that are still true to this day? I think, yeah. In the same way that you and I can sit down and we could get on 94.5 The Buzz and we could listen to a song. Sorry, 97 countries. That's a radio station that has alternative rock and roll. Where a song could come on that its intent was not to get us to think as we listen to it about something that's of God or God's mission. I mean, driving in, I don't know why it came up on YouTube, but it was Living on the Edge by Aerosmith.
Right.
I don't think that Steven Tyler's intent in writing that song is at all where my mind was as I was listening to it. Something's wrong with the world today. I don't know what it is. He has a thought of that we're living on the edge.
Right. And
that inspired him to write it. But my Christian worldview, my Christian lens, is hearing that song and taking it to a different place.
Right.
And that it wasn't intended to have a Christian bent to it or Christian whatever, but that's where my mind went as I'm listening to the song.
Right.
So I think that happens. I think there's elements of the arts. Certainly someone could watch that movie and go, wow, this was really inspiring in this way or that way with Jason Bourne. And
yeah.
It's not Jason Bourne.
What is his name? It's gonna bug me.
I hope we remember his name by the end of this episode.
Yeah, I hope so too. But no, to all what you said. The point is, it's interesting. I heard Jordan Peterson say that everything, all the greatest literature, can be traced back to the Bible, which is interesting. And he kind of goes through this whole thing about writings and words and everything. It all began with the Bible, you know. So people, and there's even who was it? Was it George Washington or someone learned to write by reading the Bible? Learned to read by reading the Bible. So wisdom and knowledge comes from that. All wisdom and knowledge comes from the Lord. What do we do with it once we get it? It's another story. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that's a really interesting way of looking at that. But lost my train of thought.
Well, I would say this is what's always been interesting to me is the most enduring stories, ultimately, they will highlight at some point the type of attributes that you will either find in Christianity or in Christ himself. Mm-hmm. and I think it's interesting, like the cultural shift we're in right now. Like we've been in a world for probably, goodness, 15 plus years where like they really tried to go against this grain on purpose.
Right.
I can't even tell you right now how many Netflix shows, like series, right? We'd like get into it, like really into it. And like we're at the final episode. We've been waiting all this time. And then it just ends.
Right.
You know, and I think they did that on purpose. I think there's a number of people that know what people yearn for is justice. What people yearn for is to see what is good to prevail over darkness. What people want to see is redemption. They want to see that there's closure and that something better can come from something horrific. And I believe that for like 15 or 20 years, a lot of our shows, they were like, no, don't do that, because that's gonna, you know, that elevates the moral, ethical. Now you start getting into natural law, you start getting into all this stuff that eventually leads you to a infinite higher being, which now we get to assess which of those beings. And now when it's all said and done, guess where we've landed, or close to it, you know?
Right.
So I think this is why, like, I can't even think of which show it was, and we're just like watching it. Last episode, oh, it's gonna be killer, and we were like, I invested 4 seasons of my life, and I can't get. That's how it ends. Y'all get in the station wagon and you leave. What about what's his name down the street? You got to deal with what's his name. No, they didn't deal with what's his name. They just drove off.
Right. I can tell you a movie that did that, and my daughter almost backhanded me for making her watch it because she's like, "How could you put me through this?" And it ends like that. It was The Wall. Have you seen The Wall with John Cena in it, about the sniper?
No.
That'll mess you up. It'll mess you up. It's kind of like we said. It's just this whole false hope of, you can't have it. Nothing's gonna end well.
They're doing that on purpose.
Yeah, it's interesting
because all of the killer movies, like it comes back around.
Right.
Most people's favorite movies, we love the moment when the good guy comes from the ashes,
right,
and levels out the score. Yeah. Like, even if it's like just your shoot 'em up type movie, it's like, yep, there he is. Yep. Like, that's the way that like film and the stories. And so the reality is the strengths of some of those of like, mythology, the strengths of him of the stories are the parts, in my opinion, that happen to map over Christian values and God's story. And then they most of them just get weird at some point, or at least they kind of make moves that you go, well, that doesn't comply. Like that's not what would speak to me. This is what makes the story of Jesus, they like literally the greatest story ever told, and the greatest movies in film and cinema map over that story. That's all of if I were to pull just for a second, if I just pulled Jesus' name out for a second, and I go, think of how many movies start with all is serene and good and nice, seemingly peaceful. And then, almost out of nowhere, that is interrupted and destroyed. And there is evil running rampant. There's mass injustice now over the land and over the people and over the situation. Darkness has now befallen, right? All hope logically is gone. There's no pulling out of this. And yet somewhere out of the ashes, there's one person hidden away who's just a little bit different, who lives for something else, is prepared to die for the cause, is prepared to exchange their life for what they believe in, and they're willing to die for it. And that's what makes them unique. And along the way, they don't fall to the trappings of everybody else. They're different. They're chasing something different the whole time. And then inevitably, before the film closes out, they make all things right. And the film ends with basically this full circle thing of now the world is right. I find this so fascinating that like Lucas in Star Wars, there's all this new age stuff in it. Right? And there's no changing that. But you look at the arc of the story, and ultimately there's like this way of that's one classic example. Right. Like you go to your favorite films, Braveheart. They don't cut away from Braveheart until they show the guys running on the field in the honor of their buddy who died. And what they're saying is, in a way, with the symbolism, he's still living.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're now fighting the fight. Like, how many of your favorite films do that? And it's because there's no greater story, there's no greater plot line than the one that we are right now. We're kind of in it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, as you're saying that, it's the first time I ever saw the scene where Darth Vader is going, I am your father.
Yeah.
Like, it just hit me like, it's almost, I know this is going to sound weird, but it's like he's saying, you really want the dark side. Come over here.
Yeah.
You know, which is kind of funny. But then Luke's like, no!
Yeah.
So, but yeah, there's all these plantings, and it's interesting. But that's also, I was talking to Lynette, that's my wife, by the way, about, again, this quick culture that we're living in, because we aren't searching, and all we're doing is really receiving.
Yeah.
You know, just give me. It's a give me culture. Whatever I can take, I don't want to have to work for it. It's just like the little baby bird in the nest. Just feed me. But whatever we're fed is what we're going to be okay with. And it's getting a little scary. And why it's so important, again, going back to last episode, to do that relational research connection with God, and not just, well, I saw this little clip on Instagram about Jesus being a created angel, and well, that's interesting, and that's probably why I shouldn't believe in him. It's like, what?
Yeah.
Where did you get that?
Yeah.
It's crazy. So, yeah.
Well, I think ultimately, if the discussion then goes the other way, right, where it's like, hey, like, this is what these people believed, and all of that, like, I totally get how people get there. That makes so much sense to me. I would just say that, like, okay, like, for me as a pastor, I can't tell you how many hospital rooms I've walked out of, and I had to sit under the fact that there is a God, I'm not him, and I don't actually have control. And that is a very check your ego, small feeling that why am I watching X, Y, or Z play itself out, and like, how do I, and ultimately where then I'm left is, you are God. That's very humbling. I am not. Your will and your heart I trust, and I know it's better than mine, and I know your heart because of the cross. So I don't know what's going on, and I understand I'm not going to get the notes to this.
Right.
I know how it ends. I'm in the part of the film where many times it looks bleak and sad and broken, and there's some wins in there, and there's some awesome moments in there, but there's some struggle. But I know how this ultimately plays out. And I know that the last scene that I'll be a part of in this life or the next is going to be awesome.
Right.
And that's not easy. That's a tough pill to swallow. Even if you're Matt Damon. There it is.
Wow.
Even if you're Matt Damon. Oh! There it is.
God.
There it is. I think you know.
Funny.
All right. That's enough of that. Matt Damon.
That's good. No, and I actually, here's another one too. I had a friend, we're in this whole conversation, that was really upset, and we've had this conversation before, about like Native American Indians. Like, how is that fair? And it's like, let's just take a step back. You're saying, how is that fair? Were you there? Did you live in that culture? Did you experience everything? And how naive, prideful, and stupid can we be to think that the God of the universe that I've come to know and believe and trust and literally, physically
Yeah.
getting to know relationally, what I get is this crazy, crazy love that, just like we said before, is chasing after every single one of us are his children, whether we want to believe it or not. That's up to us. And he wants a relationship. But how naive to think that there's only one way he speaks to cultures. We hear it all the time, and we've been hearing about it in like the Islam and Muslim faith. I've heard so many stories of dreams, just dreams in general. Not because some guy was so excited and really had it on his heart to go out and speak to, Muslim communities. No, just through a dream, Jesus was revealed, and their whole world was shaken, and they started really diving in. That was an interesting piece too, because one of these guys that I was listening to said, they were asking, well, how do you know that what you believed for so long through childhood was wrong, and Christ is the way? And he said, one of the biggest problems of my faith and the way I was brought up is I never really read. I only read what was given to me, but backwards and forwards I did not know. I did not know the Quran. I did not know any of that. But as I started diving in and fully reading, there was so much contradiction that it didn't make sense. There was so much just things that didn't match, and it proved to me that Jesus was real, and it through what I had through my dream, and it made me go do this. And on the same side, Christianity is the same way. How many people just blindly go through with believing what we believe, but don't even know the word? And so, kind of what we said, the floor is going to fall out, below you if you're not careful. But yeah, so I think about like the Native American Indians. Like, I don't even know where they came from. I probably should research.
I was going to say that is a whole nother episode all by itself.
But I know there have been things recently where scientists and research have discovered words that they use are the same word that so many different cultures use for God, like God and Jesus, and so they're going through this, going, this is really interesting. So, but yeah, who are we to say that God didn't talk to them? I wasn't there. I didn't.
Well, and that's just it. Is like I think that's the hardest part, and I think there is an apologetics side to this. Like, there's certainly the way in which you can engage somebody or engage people to show that they actually live more by moral absolutes, let's say, or they don't, and you're able to have those discussions, and then you can start to pick apart by what authority do they make decisions in their life and define their life, and how do they derive that. And you can begin to pick all of that apart with a person and help them come to certain conclusions, or not, depending on how the conversation goes.
Right.
But I think where it all ultimately lands is the hardest pill to swallow, is that there is a God and we're not him. And coupled with that, fascinatingly enough, is the greatest injustice in the history of civilization, which is one perfect person is murdered.
Right.
God is killed. Like, that's like, not just innocent, but perfect. And that's wild. Like, that's a wild pairing right there.
Right.
Of the gravity and the weight of God, and the gravity and the weight of eternity, and yet Jesus would come in the midst of that and atone for that which is broken, and redeem it. So, like, that's the wild thing, is like, once you've sat under the weight of, there's a God, I'm not him, I can't fix these situations, this, that, or the other. What's wild is then, this is the same God that I can appeal to cry out to, pray to. He hears me, and I'm counted as a part of the family. That's crazy, you know?
Right.
The way that we present all of these other stories usually is a person is one or the other, right? Like,
right.
They're either the all-powerful, pound their fist on the table, or they're really in it with you. And it's wild that you know, our God, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, like, this is all happening. So, yeah, I mean, it's tough. I think in a cynical world, or people that are wounded, I think, are struggling with faith. I think that is the problem of pain, to put it, you know, just as succinctly as I can. You know, that's a real wrestling that goes on in a person, and I don't know that that's so bad. I actually think, provided that they will look at Jesus and put Jesus in his rightful place in the story of our civilization, he's profoundly different from anyone ever. And you have to do something with the cross.
Yeah. I love what you've always said before, too, is how many of all the great religions of the world acknowledge Jesus in some way, as a man or a prophet or whatever, but miss the truth. And there's something to that. If you're going to acknowledge him, you know, how can you just bypass what, you know, the truth is of who he is? And that's, again, goes back to the human nature. What is your want? What is your outcome that you're trying to achieve? Yeah. And if that doesn't fit with it, then that could be a problem. And I think that's what happens in those religions, because they're all works based.
Well, yeah, and right now where we're at is, we probably for another podcast another time, but like what is happening now, even we do this in the political sphere, we aren't asking God for guidance and direction and asking God to lift up leaders. What we do instead is we look for political solutions. So we take the temporal shortcut to it, and we're making compromises all along the way, and you're going to deal with those too. You know, so I think that is it's just in our nature, and we didn't make that up in America. That's the story of Saul. You know, you read, why did Saul get picked? Because he was tall and good looking. That's literally what it says. He was taller than everyone else. He's a good looking guy. And they're like, he's huge. Like, and there it is. Like, that's how we did it. It made sense. He looked good, looked like the right kind of guy. Yeah, he'll lead us.
I got 50% going for me.
That's it. But he did. But he's missing the heart, right? And then comes David into that story. So it's just like, I think that is human nature, is to bend God's will our way. Yeah. And that's part of being the sinful, broken person. And we got to wrestle with that. You got to wrestle with that. And I would encourage people to take that to Jesus, repent of that, and look upon the cross, because there's no statement in the history of civilization like the cross. Not just innocent, but perfect, dying. Yeah. Is absolutely wild. Yeah. So you got to do something with that. Yeah. You know?
That's good. That's really good. Man. There's a whole lot of our brain right now.
I mean, we got Matt Damon. We got
and Matt Damon. If you happen to come across this,
it's all good, man. It's nothing personal.
I'm not picking on you at all. I just from what I've grown up in is you know, what was that? Dead Poet Society? Is that what he was in? The math guy? Was that Dead Poet Society?
Oh my gosh, that guy was not in that movie.
He wasn't?
And he's never going to come on the show. Wait. Matt Damon, you were awesome in Dead Poet Society. Thanks again. You killed it.
When was he the math guy?
Good Will Hunting.
That's it. Yes.
Not in.
It's the same era.
It's Robin Williams. Robin Williams was in both. That was your mental connection.
That's it.
Robin Williams is in both. Yeah.
So, and then Jason Bourne. Yeah, he's a tough dude in that, right? You know, but he's got it good. He's got the American life. He's got money, and you know.
Matt, you were great in Rambo. I really loved it. It's fantastic. You were fantastic.
I just couldn't see him as Odysseus and a guy that has to, you know, survive out there in the brutal world. So nothing against you, Matt. Like Jason Momoa, you could do it. All right.
What about Veal again?
Oh, hopefully that made sense. You're gonna have to pray us out.
Jesus, we just thank you so much for your grace, your mercy, and your kindness upon us. Some of us are walking in really, really difficult seasons right now, and you know who we are. If it's health issues or family or relationships, something with our job, maybe it's our children, grandchildren, spouse, you know what it is. We lift that up to you right now. We recognize that you are God and we are not. And we know that you hear our prayers. You tell us in Romans 5:8 that even when we don't know what to say, that by the power of your Spirit, you intercede and interpret wordless groans. When we are absolutely out of the words of what to speak or what to even ask or what to communicate, so gracious is your heart towards us. You remind us that even when we were still yet sinners, you loved us. So that is the condition of your heart. And we thank you for the beauty of the cross, perfect love and perfect power met in the empty tomb. And so we have this promise of simple childlike faith in you and what this means for our lives. We love you, we thank you, we praise you, we lift you up in the middle of what's going on in our world. We ask you to intercede, and we ask for this in confidence because of the depth of your love for us. It's in your beautiful name, Jesus. Amen.
Yeah, and truly,
All right, this time